Okay, picture this for a second. Imagine you have Albert Einstein literally living in your basement. But actually, scratch that. Imagine a version of Einstein who possesses the sum of all human knowledge, never ever runs out of patience, and will instantly answer any question you throw at him in seconds. Need a world class chef? Done. A brilliant coder? Easy. A seasoned doctor on demand? You got it. That is the incredible reality of the technology we're exploring today. Basically, intelligence is suddenly available as a service. So, welcome to this explainer. I'm so thrilled to dive into this with you today. Our mission here is pretty simple. We are going to demystify generative AI. We're going to cut through all that media hype and break down this revolutionary tech, going from the high-level concepts straight down into the technical realities, so you can truly grasp what is actually happening behind your screen. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with what generative AI actually is, then look under the hood to see how it works. We'll explore the current toolkit, learn how to customize it, and wrap up with how we can all thrive in this new age. Let's get right into it. Part 1. What is generative AI? Now, you might be thinking, AI isn't new, and you'd be right. For decades, we've had traditional discriminative AI. You know, when your credit card gets flagged for fraud or your phone classifies a photo as a dog instead of a cat, that's traditional AI analyzing and categorizing existing data. Generative AI is fundamentally different. Instead of just analyzing, it generates entirely new original content based on patterns it's learned. It is literally the difference between a machine saying, "Yep, that's a picture of a dog," and a machine painting you a brand new, completely original picture of a dog that has never existed before. And this goes way beyond just chatbots writing essays. Think about Emma, a graphic designer, creating custom artwork from scratch using just a text prompt, or musicians generating synthetic voices. Over in healthcare, doctors are using it to simulate disease progression or even create synthetic medical data to speed up research. I mean, the applications span almost every creative and analytical field you can think of. Which brings us to part 2, looking under the hood. So what's making this magic happen? At the core of text-based generative AI are large language models, or LLMs. At their most basic fundamental level, these models are essentially highly advanced guess-the-next-word machines. They're artificial neural networks made up of billions, sometimes trillions of parameters. When you type in a prompt, it gets converted into numbers, zips through these massive networks, and the model calculates the most statistically probable next word over and over again to build a coherent response. But to actually make sense, the AI has to maintain context. Enter transformers. Yes, that is the T in GPT. Introduced in 2017, this architecture lets the AI process text by breaking it down into smaller pieces called tokens. But it doesn't just read them left to right like we do, it understands the complex relationships between all those tokens at once. So if you ask for a cat wearing sunglasses, the transformer ensures the AI knows those sunglasses belong on the cat's face. So, how are those billions of parameters actually set up? Well, it happens in 3 main steps. First step is data collection. It's a lot like a baby learning a language by just listening to the world around them. The AI ingests massive chunks of the internet. Step 2 is backpropagation. That's just a fancy term for tweaking the internal numbers whenever the AI guesses a word incorrectly. And finally, reinforcement learning with human feedback. Think of this like dog clicker training. Human testers spend thousands of hours rewarding helpful answers and penalizing bad ones. This is exactly why an AI model totally knows how to rob a bank, but will politely refuse to tell you how to do it. Of course, these models are not perfect. Sometimes they experience what we call hallucinations. This is when the AI spits out information that sounds incredibly confident and convincing, but is completely bogus. Nonsense. This usually happens because it learned from noisy data, it didn't get enough context in the prompt, or it just lacked strict constraints. It's a great reminder that, at the end of the day, this is a statistical math machine, not a human brain. All right, part 3, the Generative AI Toolkit. We have an absolutely amazing array of tools available right now. We've got text-to-text models that can write code or translate languages, text-to-image models using diffusion to create mind-blowing art. We even have text-to-audio models generating music, and text-to-video creating entire animations. And the really cool part, we are rapidly moving toward multimodal AI. This means you won't even have to switch between tools. One single app will be able to process your text, analyze an image you upload, and output a spoken audio response, all seamlessly. Now here is one of the most wild aspects of this tech: emergent capabilities. As these models got bigger and ate up more data, they started showing abilities that their creators never explicitly programmed into them. Unplanned logic, reasoning. Like if you prompt an AI with a scenario involving a string, some scissors, an egg, and a fire, it can accurately predict the exact sequence of events, right down to the broken egg. It demonstrates a learned higher-level understanding of physics and gravity that just emerged. Let's move to part 4, customizing your AI experience. You know, the biggest limitation of generative AI isn't really the technology itself anymore. It's actually your imagination. It's your ability to communicate what you want. This is where prompt engineering comes into play. Designing effective prompts, giving the AI crystal clear instructions, great context, and solid examples is absolutely crucial. In fact, going forward, this skill is rapidly becoming as fundamental as basic reading and writing. But we can take it a step further. We can give the AI its own personalized library using a technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. Imagine you want the AI to answer questions based strictly on your company's private real-time data. With RAG, when you ask a question, the system first searches your specific external database, grabs the relevant info, and feeds it to the AI right alongside your prompt. The AI then synthesizes a highly accurate, totally customized answer based on facts it wasn't even originally trained on. Now, it's super important to understand the difference between RAG and fine-tuning. Think of RAG as giving the AI an open book to reference during a test. Fine-tuning, on the other hand, is more like sending the AI to medical school. With fine-tuning, you take a pre-existing model and you permanently train it further on a highly specialized data set. It literally bakes deep domain expertise right into the model's brain, tailoring its behavior to exactly what you need. And for all the developers tuning in, you can wire this directly into your own apps using APIs. It's a straightforward process. You grab an API key from platforms like OpenAI or Hugging Face, set up secure authentication, and connect your user interface to the AI backend. You just have to manage a few parameters like maximum tokens to balance out your costs and make sure you respect their rate limits. Once you do that, you are essentially plugging an incredibly powerful external brain straight into your software. Finally, part 5, thriving in the AI age. When it comes to this massive technological shift, people usually fall into one of 3 buckets. First is denial. They think, oh, AI could never do my job. The second is panic. AI is going to destroy my entire industry. Well, frankly, neither of those helps you. The mindset we highly recommend is the balanced approach. If you treat AI as your genius, slightly quirky colleague, the outcome is that you gain insanely productive superpowers. You can take an idea to a finished result in a fraction of the time it used to take. Because here is a sobering, yet honestly empowering truth about the modern labor market. AI itself might not take your job, but a human professional who has mastered using AI, they absolutely will. Adopting this tech isn't just some fun weekend experiment anymore. It is becoming a vital necessity for your career. But please don't panic. The human element is far from obsolete. In fact, we are absolutely essential. AI models aren't perfect. They need human domain experts to ask the right questions and actually evaluate the outputs. We are strictly required for legal compliance, data security, and setting up the guardrails. Ultimately, a human expert is needed to make those critical, nuanced judgment calls that a statistical math machine simply cannot make. All right, let's wrap this all up. We are standing at a historic crossroads right now, where these capabilities are improving exponentially. The biggest limitation going forward is entirely up to your imagination. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Will you treat generative AI as a threat to be feared? Or will you unlock that door, let Einstein out of the basement, and start collaborating with your genius new colleague? The choice is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy exploring.